What's up, everybody? So we went over the results and then we also interviewed people over at Grid Life Laguna. So what we're going to be doing in this video is explaining the top 5 results that you guys talked about, as well as going over what we think are the best mods to increase your driving.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. Thank you for watching. We are coming live to you from Laguna Seca Grid Life. This video is the top 5 mods. We want to thank everybody who voted on our comments, and we're gonna go around today. Nick, why don't you explain it?
Yeah, so pretty much to second from all of the votes, we're gonna be able to see a lot of you in person. So we're gonna be going up to random people, some of the people that we already do know, asking you what you think the top 5 mods are that increase your driving, track driving.
And then since we are Grid Life guys, real quick, we are gonna have our own episodes once we get back. So much action-packed stuff going on here at Grid Life, so please go check it out.
All right, what's up, guys? How's it going? We have John, and he is behind his beautiful GT3 RS that he is running this weekend in track mod. So John, simple question, what are the top 5 things that you think help driver improvement on track?
Honestly, seat time, brakes, tires, maybe some suspension, and honestly, just keep racing. So seat time, really.
Okay. Anything specifically that's helped you increase the laps going through this weekend?
Just keep driving.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
learning the car every single day. You always go faster.
What are the top 5 things that you think are modifications that increase and help performance on track?
Question.
Doesn't have to be in order, but what are like at least 3 but to 5 things?
Top 3: coilovers, wheels, and tires.
Okay.
Aside from like seat time, of course.
Okay. Can you elaborate on it a little bit?
I always say start with brake pads, because brake pads just kind of need it in a track day. Driving a car stock, you want the car to stop.
Okay.
Once you kind of get familiar with the car as it's slower, kind of start upgrading your tires, and then go to suspension next, because I feel like once you get to know the stock car, then you can see what the coilovers are actually going to do for the car.
Gotcha.
And that's how I kind of progressed with this car.
And then going to the same question I asked him, what are the top 5 things that you definitely would say would increase the performance of driving on track?
I agree with his key points as well: tires, brakes, and honestly seat time too. One thing that I also want to add is the diff. Diff makes a huge complete difference on the way the car acts, and honestly that's what a person should start working with, and then adding tires and then brakes and brake fluid, and beyond that, that's all you need for seat time.
The first thing that I would recommend is a seat. Having a seat that contains you so you're not squirming around when you're driving, that's definitely high on the list. Number 2, if you can, get a harness. But then a harness probably requires you to get a roll bar. I know Grid Life doesn't really like harness bars, so use that as your discretion. So seat and harness is like game changing. And then the last thing, it's always nice to have a fresh set of tires.
Okay.
To increase driving performance, I gotta say tires is like the number 1. You know, if you're running all seasons, going to like a 200 tread wear is gonna be a big jump in performance in terms of like track time. Suspension as well, coilovers, like bushings, whatnot, getting rid of the super soft bushings that your car comes with from factory is a really great upgrade as well. And honestly, probably just seat time, like getting on the track, even just getting on the sim, that's a great way to get faster at the track.
What's up, everybody? So we went over the results and then we also interviewed people over at Grid Life Laguna. So what we're going to be doing in this video is explaining the top 5 results that you guys talked about, as well as going over what we think are the best mods to increase your driving.
And the reason that we're making this video is because we have a lot of new customers that we've met, and it's very cool to see everyone so interested in tracking their car. I think it's become more apparent to people that it's very accessible. I feel like a lot of people in the past or in the recent years prior to this have thought, it's very unattainable or super expensive to track your car. But what we've been seeing and what our friends are seeing is that track days are always full these days. So it's awesome. Yeah. And with that, we've been seeing a lot of customers who are now, doing more and more track days. So we want to put this video out just to help make sure everyone is getting the most out of their time and enjoyment at the track.
Yeah, and I know, you know, for all the customers obviously that have done work with us, and for the many of people that we have talked to out in events, we preach a certain style and philosophy when it comes to, you know, the way we drive and the way we do things to our car. We always like to build people's cars and help our clients out for specifically what they need and like what they're applying to on the track themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And like another way to describe it is what we try to do is build not just the car, but not make the car faster than the driver is ready for.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, I guess the easiest way to say it is that if you put all these crazy mods on your car, then the lap times you're getting aren't really from your own development as a driver or the skills that you're learning for car control or just tracking a car in general, but they're coming from the upgrade in the speed of the car itself.
Yeah, and totally understanding like what that part you're putting on is doing to the car or yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, if you guys are watching this video, I'm sure you guys are interested to know. So let's get right down to it, and we'll just start with our fifth. I guess we're going to do these in order, so to what we think is the most beneficial for anybody. And again, these will apply to any kind of car that you're willing to take out on the track, whether it's a Prius or a Corolla, or you know, if you're taking out a Porsche GT3 Cup car. So the first mod on our top 5 mod list is actually something that most people will probably be surprised about, right? It's not a simple thing. It's actually a little bit more on the expensive side, but it is that beneficial and that much of an improvement and something to be able to use every time you go to the track, and that is the Garmin Catalyst.
Yeah, and I think this is probably because for those of you that don't know, when I did start here, I recently just got the Supra, and like I said, you know, further in the video we'll go down. This was one of the first purchases because I had a pretty set up car already by the time I was ready to start tracking, and then this was able to determine deltas and the difference between, like, this will definitely show you the difference between what you do wrong and right in a corner versus just showing you the overall lap time. So maybe you could explain a little bit better.
That's the biggest thing, right? Yeah. You've got this, you know, multi-inch screen right in your face. It's a great product from Garmin, and I'm super glad that they created it. And some people are probably saying, well, what's the difference between a Garmin and the AIM? And we'll get to that in a second, but the benefit of, and why we say a Garmin first, is because it's so easy to use. Yeah. It's got a magnetic mount. You can literally take it, put the screen back on in the car, and then take it off after your session. But the main reason that we're recommending the Garmin is simply just because you need to know what you're doing out there. Yeah. Like Nick is saying, like, before any of these more accessible track time monitoring, delta giving devices were available, you know, I remember back in the day, like almost 17 years ago, my first track day, I had no idea if I turn here, if I brake here, if it was the right thing to do in a certain corner. Like, you can try different things in a certain corner and know right off the bat while you're finishing that corner if it was faster or slower. Yeah. Just because you've got this big screen in front of your face, and it turns red if you were slower, and it turns green if you're still, you know, being faster than your previous time.
And then on top of that too, it's like the capabilities of what it has. It records all of your data so you can review it afterwards. So it'll literally track your lap via GPS, and it'll have like a line versus the suggested line, or like the fastest predicted line.
The optimal line.
The optimal line. So you could really dictate what corner you're going slower and what corner you are going faster in, and really help you so that you can kind of get into that repetitive nature lap after lap after lap, and therefore increase lap times.
And the reason why we say this over the AIM, any AIM data system, those are great, and we'll explain why. But again, it's just the Garmin's ease of use. You can literally just hop out of the car, take it. You don't have to go to your laptop, transfer an SD card, make a graph, look at graphs. It's literally all right there. A few pushes of a button. And
like, you can literally set this up you could purchase this, set this up. You don't even have to look at the directions. It's that easy to set up and put in your car.
Plug and play.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then to look at your video too, it's got a video feature, so you can actually watch, and it gives you feedback of, in the video, like, this is where you're slower, and this is where you're minus, and this is where you're plus. Yeah, so, and then lastly, talking about the data side of things, we don't get us wrong, you know, we love the AIM aim Solo 2DL, and those quick things with the lights, and they still give you a delta. But you know, that data that you would get from something like that with an integrated OBD data interfaces, like, you need to understand fully what your car is doing, what are you measuring, and what are your goals in order to even need that data, right?
Yeah.
So if you're just starting out, this is the way to go.
Yeah, because like with
if you're already advanced and you know how to read those graphs and you know how to make changes to make use of that information, then definitely go with the AIM Solo 2. So this is kind of the first mod on our list, is kind of a Garmin/AIM, just data acquisition. All right, moving on to our second of the top 5 mods for driver improvement. You'll notice that a lot of these things are for being able to be consistent, and that way you've got a strong baseline to run from. And without this next mod that we suggest, there's definitely no way you can do that. And that's why second on our list is brakes and fluid.
Yes. Specifically, I know there's some type of science with the certain type of brake fluid, like this is a .4, this is the Motul RBF 660. Pretty much what it goes down to is boiling point. The brakes do get hot on track when you're constantly beating on the car. You need fluid to go through the system that is capable of withstanding that type of heat and pressure. So having an upgraded fluid in your car is gonna eventually let you put lap after lap after lap with putting all of the strain and stress on your brakes and being able to withstand that heat.
Exactly. So again, going back to the consistency thing, right? Is a lot of when we go and I ride along with a lot of first-time track guys, or even guys who are on their 3rd or 4th or 5th track day, they don't notice that their brakes are fading. Yeah. So even though you don't get that fully mushy brake pedal feel where you're like, oh, something's actually wrong with my brakes, you don't realize that you're not getting the same braking force if you have, you know, an inconsistent braking system. Yeah. So yeah, definitely a lot of people know already brake fluid, and you know, I don't know if we should include pads, but you know, there's a lot of people probably watching this video who have different types of cars. You might have an older car that definitely needs brakes just in general, but a lot of the newer cars have great braking systems. So yeah, as long as you get something that's consistent and it's not beating on you, then you're going to be able to have that consistent baseline to see if you're improving. And then going back to the number one thing, you can use your Garmin or your data acquisition system to see if you're actually improving.
Exactly. All right, and then going on to the third component that we definitely think that increases the driving aspect, and a lot of you hit it on the nose. We had a lot of votes stating this next mod, as well as like the brake, but a lot of people did mention this next mod, which is a racing or bucket seat. So going straight into it, racing bucket seat, you're gonna see a lot of styles of them, but the general bucket seat, what that's gonna do is it's obviously gonna, you know, put you in a position where it's gonna hug you to the car. And when you use a bucket seat, it's most likely paired with a chassis mount, floor mount. And then what that does is it obviously stiffens you as the driver and it mounts you straight to the car. So you're gonna be able to feel everything, as well as having the support, you know, because when you're on track, you're pulling a lot of G-force and a lot of movement is going through your body. And then if you're constantly moving, it's not going to keep you focused on the road. And with a bucket seat, obviously, it's going to keep you secure. It's going to keep you in the same position throughout the entire lap or your entire session that you're going to be driving in, and ultimately giving you the best feel while you are driving.
Yeah, and going back to my whole thing about consistency, right? Having that baseline is if you're sliding around, which is what most people complain about, if you're sliding around, use your left hand to hold yourself against the door so that you're not sliding around. You're not fully 100% driving and what you need to be doing, hitting your brake, what you're turning, your throttle, etc., etc. Yeah. But yeah, you'd be surprised how many people we've gone out with stock seats, and then they come back to the shop, and then we add some things to their car. We go out the next time, they have some seats in the car, and they literally have gained 2 to 3 seconds yes. without any other mods, just from being able to sit comfortably without having to hold themselves still while driving.
Yeah, because I think when you are in the right driving position, your hands are always in the right position where they need to be, versus, like I said, when you're sliding, you're shifted this way, your hands are still here. It's going to be hard to kind of maneuver.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I've even experienced that when I first started out. And the moment I put a bucket seat in, it's substantial difference. Is definitely something that we would recommend. Definitely something that you guys knew already from the get-go, is a seat is definitely a game changer.
Yeah, and it's all part of our motto, right? Where our motto is feel the rhythm. And the reason we say feel the rhythm is you need to be getting into rhythm on the track. And all these things that we've said so far are things that keep you consistent and help you keep that rhythm and then turn that rhythm up. All right, guys, so for the fourth mod in our list, we were debating whether this should be the fourth or the fifth. When I don't know if you guys are considering these in order of importance. They're kind of all important.
Yeah.
But this one's going to probably be surprising to a lot of people. And again, we weren't sure if we should put this as the fourth or the fifth. But yeah, this fourth one is going to be coaching. So now that you've got a way to time yourself on the track, you've got consistent brakes, you're not sliding around everywhere on the track. The next thing that we think you need to know is, are you doing the correct things?
Yeah.
And the only way to know that is to either ask for help, which is what we love about the track community. Everybody's willing to help out, share what they've found through their experiences. But if you're really, really dedicated to this as a hobby or a sport, or just improving yourself and trying to push yourself to the next level, then 100% coaching is high up on the list.
Yeah, and I think to clear the air a little bit too, even coming from experience for me, because by no means I'm nowhere near a professional, but I started at a certain level, and I think a lot of people watching this video, or people who have done the track experience and or getting into it, a lot of people are going to have raw talent. A lot of people are going to be able to throw a car around and do the right things, but I think the stress point on what we just said is knowing why you're doing what specifically the car is doing or how it reacted. Being able to determine that if I'm turning this or I'm letting off at a certain time, the understanding of what that's physically doing and relaying to lap times or on track. Because like I started off at a certain level, and the moment I personally started growing as a driver, I would ask you for, assistance in like, hey, I'm having trouble with this corner, what should I do? You would suggest something to me, and that, ultimately giving myself peace of mind and more knowledge as to the reason why I'm doing a certain act throughout a corner or throughout my course of a lap time. That ultimately is the most important thing that I would say.
Yeah, because like in any sport, and comment down below, guys, if you guys are athletes or participate in any other sports, but driving a car on track is very athletic.
Yeah.
And it's something, there's a lot of coordination needed, and you don't know that the movements that you're doing, are they correct or not? It may show up in a lap time, it may show up from something you're improving, but could you be improving at a higher rate?
Yeah.
Or are you improving at the rate that you should be at? But those are all things that a coach, and there's so many little things that I coach people right now, right? Yeah. But I can't even think of like certain things to bring up because there's so many tiny details that happen in the moment, and can only be explained in the moment.
Yeah. And which we also do go over with like the Garmin footage.
Correct.
Yeah, so the both of us, the course of being here, obviously you a lot longer than me, but I've even had a couple of clients where I'm able to coach and go over data and really show the difference between like a month-to-month difference between one track day to another, and really pinpointing, hey, we're braking here a little bit sooner, we could be doing this a little bit better, we could be taking this corner a little bit more aggressive, and feeling the dynamic, and it kind of all goes hand in hand.
And real quick too, Nick, we put him through the accelerated program. He bought a Supra in March of 2023.
Yeah.
And that, you had one track day in your Subaru before that?
Yeah, a couple.
And we didn't even go to that many track days,
No, I think the first track day was July 1st with the Supra. The first track day, and then from July until I think September was like the first Pro Comp event.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
I think there were 2 practice days, but each of those days, like, because we had the knowledge and experience and the ability to put stuff on the car here at the shop.
Yeah.
And just having, I think that's a big thing too, is just doing the right things once. Doing them the first time.
Yeah.
Instead of guessing and not knowing if this is the right thing, is it wrong, and then having to go back and take it off. It kills a lot of time.
Yeah.
And it actually segues into what our fifth and final and probably most surprising thing on the list.
Yeah.
Well, no, not really surprising.
Not surprising. I mean, it's pretty comprehensive. And going straight into it. Number 5 is seat time.
Yeah.
We advocate this all the time. Like, if you want to get better, if you want to improve, you sign up to your next track day and just get on the track and do it,
Yeah.
And with that being said too, I know there's a lot of people that are probably new, and this is definitely a first time. Don't get intimidated. I think a lot of people have this idea that going to the track or putting your track on the first time, if you're unaware, is like super expensive. I mean, obviously cost varies from everybody, but definitely goes into our last and final point, is getting the experience and really putting yourself in the situation and doing it.
Yeah, and we're fortunate to be in SoCal, and we've got so many awesome organizations that run track days here. Just to name a few: Speed Ventures, SoCal Drivers Club. You got Extreme Speed. There's so many now.
Yeah.
But it's a great thing. You guys should take advantage of that fact that this community is growing. Everyone's falling in love with the sport, and it's super accessible. So
Yeah.
it's like almost every weekend you could go to a track day.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Now, so as an additional aspect to the 5th part of this list, which is seat time, I'm actually going to add something that we didn't even talk about when we were prepping for the video, but it is still considered seat time, and it's very, very beneficial, and that is, driving on a sim. There's a lot of places, and the sim world is gigantic now, and it's very, very big, and you can easily get a nice sim setup at home, or you can go to places like World of Racing. They just opened in Tustin. They had the original location in Pasadena. They have one in Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they're opening more locations, but it's crazy how you can just go to a place now and have access to a very, very high-end motion simulator that's very, very realistic.
And I think it's like, because when we did say, depending on where you're located, there might be some ways how close you are to a racetrack. Luckily for us, being in SoCal, they're about 2 to 3 hours away on average. But for example, for us, because we always like practicing, sometimes we don't have the availability to go to the track. We kind of once a week now kind of make it a tradition to go to World of Racing. Their facility is phenomenal, and it definitely gives us the feedback and allows us to train properly with all of the right and respective gear and setup. So
for sure.
Yeah.
And people always ask, because we have a sim set up here at the shop. Nick brought his Fanatec set up, and I had my PC. So people always ask, and does it actually help with driving? And 110%, yes, it does.
It does.
So, and it's actually harder to drive on a sim than it is to drive in real life. So if you can master being fast and consistent on a simulator, then driving on track in real life becomes a lot more easy.
Quick little add-in. Any of my SoCal people here, if you've both simmed and also driven Laguna Seca, which one is harder for you? Because for me,
comment down below. Not just for SoCal people, because
anybody in general. Because I find it a lot harder to drive on sim at Laguna Seca track than it is in real life.
Yes, and that goes for a lot of tracks, not just Laguna.
That's true.
Yeah, but there you're able to practice your braking points. It's more of a mental practice.
Yeah, it gets you familiar.
Yeah,
because that's what we do for leading up to even track days or competition events. We'll throw on the sim to kind of know and get an idea on what we're going to plan to do, because obviously on the sim versus real life, the pedal feel is going to be a little different depending on what car you're driving, but it definitely stimulates yourself and gives you an idea on how the car is going to react, and lets you build that instinct as well.
Yeah, it gives you versatility, right? And adaptability, because obviously it's not going to be the same as driving your car. But if you're able to transfer your skills from one thing to the other, then you're on your way to another level.
If Jan Martin can do it, anybody could do it.
So, and then lastly, I just want to take this opportunity opportunity, you know, if you guys are still watching the video, give ourselves our own little quick shout out here. It's something that we've been waiting to really announce. We are going to be publicly offering coaching both on the track, and something that's new, thanks to World of Racing, we will be announcing soon that we are going to be able to coach at the Tustin location. So we'll have more information on that, so please keep a lookout. And if you guys have any questions, please always hit us up. We love talking about track, one of the funnest things. So,
and hopefully we could see you at the next event too, because we're constantly going on the track all year round, and obviously towards the end of the year we got some events that we're going to be going to, and that's a lot of events that we meet and see you. So the relationships that we build are based off of our background and you know, the people that support us. So at the same time, we love to support you, so we're probably going to see a lot of you. Thanks for everybody that we did see at Grid Life. It was fun meeting all of you guys. So got GTA coming up next, so that's definitely another big one.
Yeah, and then I think we're going to try this next coming year to get ourselves out of California a little bit.
Yes,
you know,
Road
not
Atlanta.
just Texas.
Road Atlanta.
Yeah, we want
Grid
to check
Life.
off some of those amazing tracks that we've always wanted to hit in real life. So hopefully we'll see some of you East Coast guys in some other states as well. So, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, again, please hit us up. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.